So here we are with the basic setup of the Raspberry Pi. After powering it up with the USB cable that is provided to you at the power pin, when it opens up, you will see this desktop of the Raspberry Pi being booted up for you. Alright, so this is what you will see with, it is an OS, as we already saw. It was a Raspbian OS. And the Raspbian OS over here is very Raspberry Pi friendly and also quite lightweight to be used. So the OS, as we said, it's there on the SD card. Now, coming over, we had also gone to the preferences. We can just go to the preferences in the Raspberry Pi configuration and the mouse and the keyboard settings. You will have to make a few changes. So we saw that in the Raspberry Pi configuration. Our name was Raspberry Pi. We booted into desktop and not into the command line. You might want to do that later when you have some project on your Raspberry Pi and you want to get it up and running. Alright, we can set the resolution. If the resolution on the screen is not enough, we can set the resolution for the same. Interfaces, we have enabled camera, SSH and VNC. Now what exactly are these? Camera, SSH and VNC, we'll see them in this particular session right now. So when we understand this particular platform or why this SSH and VNC are required, we can go into more detail. Alright, and let's go on to even the performance. The performance is, alright, GPU memory, and then you go on to the localizations. You can set your local, but most importantly, set your keyboard. Should be set to United States, English, US. If you want, you can just test a few of the characters like @ and yeah, some arbitrary characters so that you are sure. Press an OK. Okay, that's cool. Now, let's understand. This is a terminal of the Raspberry Pi, which can be opened. So the terminal can be used to write in a few commands and get some output. Just give me a second. I'll just zoom in a bit. Observate file. I'll just give you a more bigger font so you can see it clearly. Alright. Okay. Alright. So here we can write a few commands and we can just see a few things. For now, let's understand the Raspberry Pi is nothing but the Raspbian OS is nothing but Linux-based, or it's a Debian-based OS. Hence, you can write Linux commands out here. Maybe you might not know these Linux commands as of now. We'll see them in detail as we go ahead in the few lectures ahead. But for now, I'm just writing the Linux commands, and you can see the working directory, the listing the files, and then, if you want to just make a directory saying make dir. Yeah, IoT. So if I then see ls, I can see IoT as a file or a directory created. So we're going to see many of these commands a little later. But this is how the terminal of the Raspberry Pi looks. That is, it says pi add Raspberry Pi. Okay, that's what we see here, the terminal of the Raspberry Pi. Now, I can lock in. So say, for example, every time it's very tedious for me to get my Raspberry Pi connected to keyboard, mouse, monitor, and get it up running like this. It's a little tedious, yes or no? Yes. So, you might want to remotely access your Raspberry Pi, maybe from your laptop, or maybe from some remote location. You want to access your Raspberry Pi because your Raspberry Pi is going to be an IoT device. An IoT device does not have a keyboard, mouse, and keyboard, mouse, and a monitor attached to it all the time. Okay, so maybe your Raspberry Pi is located at some remote location, maybe on a tractor, or maybe on detector somewhere, or something like that. Now, if that is the case, if it is going to be located at some locations at that particular point, we can say something that the Raspberry Pi is, as we say, it's, you need to access it anytime. Maybe, you call a serviceman or a technician, he comes over and there is a problem with the controller. Now he cannot connect a keyboard, mouse, and a monitor immediately. What he needs to do is, he needs to connect to that Raspberry Pi remotely from his laptop. He needs to see this particular desktop, or he needs to see this particular command line at least, so that he can debug what is the problem. All right. So there are two kinds of things that he can boot onto. One is the terminal, or one is the desktop itself. So we are going to use these two applications that we just saw. Okay, so when we just saw in preferences, the Raspberry Pi configurations, we had done something called as in interfaces. We had enabled SSH and VNC. So we're going to understand what is SSH and what is VNC, that is secure shell. And then you have the VNC. This is for booting into the terminal. This is for booting into the desktop. All right. Both of them must be enabled. So the first time you need to open up the Raspberry Pi, enable both SSH and VNC. Stay okay. Once you're done with that, you can close this up, and let's understand how to get in from your particular desktop. Now, I will tell you something about myself, or about what I am doing in this particular thing. If you have a look out here, I just exit this full screen. I've just made my Raspberry Pi screen look unto you. So you may be thinking that I've connected my Raspberry Pi to the monitor, but in fact, no. I have just connected it. I am seeing it from my desktop. So the Windows desktop. And from the Windows desktop, I have my Raspberry Pi. Are we able to